I got to check one thing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to the August 6th, 2018 Informal County Commission meeting. We have two people that would like to address the commission. I would remind both folks that are addressing the commission to please give us your name and address, and if you would, limit your comments to 3 minutes. You'll hear a tone that goes off when you hear that. Please try to wrap your comments up, and if you continue too much longer past that, I will ask you to wrap your comments up. So first off, we have Mr. Barry Smitto.
My name is Barley Twang. Nashville pays me not to sing. I'm as country as a hay bale. Oops, wrong hat, wrong speed. As you can tell, I'm desperate. I've been here 7 times. We desperately need you to pay attention, so I humbly tell you the following brief resume. Before my internal eye cancer, I successfully managed a national team for Lego and regional teams for Epson and Nabisco. I wrote the training manuals for those teams. When I merchandised Disney movies, I won the Friendly Award and a special award they created just for me for my ability to analyze and problem solve. Here it is, it's my binky. I've just spent on my final desperate 32-page animal welfare summary. It has new urgent quotes from separate animal shelter officials that prove a pattern of heartbreaking overcapacity shelters all over the U.S. with 1.5 million cats and dogs euthanized every year. Some shelters euthanize hundreds of kittens a year. I've talked with animal shelter directors who support new methods we desperately need, including getting animal welfare into public school lessons. We need to increase the frequency and urgency of public service announcements. We're not even close to adequately educating and communicating with the public regarding the problems that have been coming for years. You'll be receiving copies of the summary, which can be seen now at www.savemillions.wordpress.com. Many staff and volunteers have worked very hard for years, but there's still so much suffering and death. We need everyone to realize that animals are so loved by so many people. When we all join together, we'll have tremendous power to affect legislation and media coverage and who gets elected. Our Governor Haslam has 4 more months in office. Mayor Dirt, we need you to call him and get the National Governors Association to initiate a coordinated response across all levels of government, as they've done with other devastating problems. That's quote marks. Many people believe this is crucial. Reasons why are explained in the summary. We have people with different beliefs and non-believers working together to save lives, and we need this to continue. Mayor Dirt, I'm glad you and our commissioners talk about your love for God. I believe God values the lives of all creation more than anything else, and we have a tremendous responsibility to help. Medical experts say staff and volunteers who see animals suffering must keep themselves emotionally healthy, or they'll be at high risk of depression, anxiety, physical illness, and even suicide. It will be a huge mistake for us to continue on without adding new methods to save lives that animal shelter directors say we need. We must also get the national governors to make this a top priority. If we don't make all this happen, millions of lives will be lost that we could have saved. Hundreds of millions of tax dollars will continue to be lost nationally, and this money could have been used to help people and animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smitto. Ms. Stacy Hopwood.
Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Hopwood. I live at 625 Dover Road. I'm here to speak about the resolution concerning Montgomery County entering into an agreement with Fort Campbell to provide animal control services on post. I hope that each of the commissioners have taken the time to read the detailed email that I sent you last Friday evening, as it raises many more concerns than I can address in 3 minutes here. I'm asking the commission to vote no on this resolution. I do not think this agreement is in the best interest of Montgomery County Animal Control, our residents and animals, or the residents and animals of Fort Campbell. Our focus should be on what is best for Montgomery County. This agreement will add a host of new problems and concerns dealing with Fort Campbell's rules and regulations, which are completely different from ours, and which will take the focus of the department away from our community and our animal problems. For the first time in the 25 years that I have lived here, I feel optimistic about the future of our animal control. I feel that Director Caskey was a great choice. He brings leadership and managerial skills to the table, something which our animal control department has always been sorely lacking in. He has already implemented many new programs and made great improvements in the shelter and overall operations. As you know, last month in this chamber, new animal control regulations were approved that drastically changed the way animal control does business. Director Caskey and his team should be focused on implementing and rolling out those new changes to ensure that they're going to work for the betterment of the animals in our community. I believe he should be given the time and the support he needs to make our animal control the best it can be before additional outside duties are piled on. I also believe that the agreement as it is written will create a huge budgetary issue, as it was based on Fort Campbell's 2017 intake numbers, which do not include feral cats or owner surrenders, both of which our animal control will be tasked from taking in from Fort Campbell. Another question is what will happen to those feral cats? Feral cats are not adoptable, which leaves two options: euthanizing them or spay, neuter, and release. That will only be an option if Fort Campbell will allow feral cats to be returned to post and released after they are altered. Regardless of which route is taken, the agreement must be adjusted to account for either much higher euthanasia numbers or more spay and neuters, because the way it stands right now, Montgomery County taxpayers would be paying for services for those Fort Campbell animals in the very near future. Under this agreement, Fort Campbell owner surrenders must be held for 3 days, where Montgomery County allows for immediate adoption. Facilities that stay at full capacity do not have the luxury of holding owner surrendered animals, so if we are required to do so for Fort Campbell, euthanasia rates for Montgomery County's animals are likely to increase due to lack of space. It's being presented that we will have access to additional kennels at the Fort Campbell shelter, but what's not being said is that that facility currently stays full without the additional burden of owner surrenders and feral cats. I'm uncertain exactly where the space for the increased number of animals will come from. Full kennels mean increased euthanasia. I feel that this agreement has the potential to increase the euthanasia rates that everyone in this county has been working so hard to reduce. Also, Montgomery County must pay for the vehicles and the gas to travel to Fort Campbell as many times a day as they're required to, and they must provide the food for all Fort Campbell's animals. Those of you that may not know, Animal Control currently solicits for food donations because their budget isn't covering the required amount of food for Montgomery County's animals. So now we're going to be tasked to provide food for Fort Campbell's animals as well. I hope that I've given you some things to think about. I do ask that you read my email if you have not already, and I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now call the meeting to order. We have several proclamations tonight, so I'm going to step down here to the side podium. If I could have Montgomery County Trustee, Ms. Brenda Radford, come forward, please. Ms. Radford, I know you've attended many of these meetings, so I have a proclamation that I'd like to read to you. This is a proclamation by the county mayor. Whereas Brenda Radford began her career with Montgomery County government in 1975 at the trustee's office, serving as a senior deputy trustee. In 1998, Brenda resigned her position in the trustee's office when she was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners, representing District 2 in 1998, and served through August 31st, 2006. And whereas Brenda Radford served her district as county commissioner by serving on numerous boards and committees, by serving as chaplain for the commission for 2 years, and by volunteering to serve as their interim animal control director while the committee searched for a new director. And whereas in 2006, Brenda was elected to the office of the Montgomery County trustee, She was reelected in 2010 and again in 2014. Among her many accomplishments during her career as trustee, Brenda was instrumental in administering and assisting Montgomery County taxpayers with tax relief programs, allowing qualifying homeowners to apply for assistance with county taxes. And whereas Brenda has received numerous honors and awards, both as a county commissioner and as trustee, and her achievements have included being named the 2010 Middle Tennessee Trustee of the Year. And whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of herself in service to her community, we wish Brenda all the best in her retirement years. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby proclaim appreciation to Brenda Radford for her years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government. Brenda, thank you so much for your service to Montgomery County. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words? Why don't you step out here so she can get a picture? At this time, if I could have Mr. Frank Meir, our director of our Veteran Services Office, and all of our Veteran Treatment Court Mentor Corps to come forward, please. Some of y'all can come around this way if you'd like to. I have a proclamation I'd like to read, but before I read it, I'd like to just personally thank each and every one of you for what you do for our Veterans Treatment Court. I think I've maybe missed one graduation since I've been mayor, but to go to your graduation ceremonies and hear the stories of the people that have been involved in Veterans Treatment Court. I know Judge Goebel does a lot. Frank's been with Veterans Treatment Court for a little while, but you mentors, y'all are the ones that make the program what it is. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I have a proclamation I'd like to read. Whereas the Montgomery County Veterans Treatment Court Mentor Corps assists the Veterans Treatment Court program by mentoring and helping participants stay motivated and moving forward in the program. And whereas the Corps is a team of veterans who willingly volunteer their time, donate personal funds for the program, coordinates with VTC staff for events outside of the court to involve participants and their families, attends court sessions as well as mentor training events, provides transportation, home care and family support in times of need, provides continuous support for Veterans Treatment Court for Life participants by creating a strong, enthusiastic, and positive support group to help encourage those participants to become mentors as well. And whereas the Corps is one of the key components that make the VTC a successful program, they are examples of honor, duty, and selfless service with the utmost dedication, to the participants in all their needs while going through the rigorous VTC program. And whereas the Corps provides an open line of communication and support with VTC participants and are willing to provide a positive voice and level head in times of crisis or just daily life. They lead by example and demand that mentees demonstrate high standards of personal contact, morality, and citizenry. And whereas the Mentor Corps gives participation of the VTC the support that only a veteran of the armed forces can provide because they understand the participants' mentality and the way of thinking. The mentors live by the creed, leave no veteran behind. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, Tennessee, do hereby applaud the mentors of the Veteran Treatment Corps for their selfless dedication in mentoring the participants of the Veterans Treatment Corps program and striving to restore veterans to their honored status within our community. Thank you to each and every one of you.
I joined the VTC team about 4 months ago, and I have seen what they do day in and day out, volunteering their time and showing the veterans that they can do it, that they can strive. I also would like to mention that Commissioner Monroe Gildersleeve is one of the mentors at the VTC. Judge?
Well, I didn't plan on saying anything, but all I can do tonight is tell you that they are the backbone of our Veterans Treatment Court. They are where the rubber hits the road, and they make things happen, and I can't thank them enough for making our program such a huge success. Thank you, guys.
I think Michelle wants y'all over here. If y'all kind of right in the center. Slide over in some, yeah, maybe 2 rows, slide over in the center. We got to go. We got to go way that way. Come on. We got to try to get in the middle of the stage if we can. At this time, we have several proclamations to present to our outgoing commissioners, and but I want to read each one of them because I think each one of them is worthy of being read. But before I do, we had a little food honoring those folks that are leaving our commission, and I just want to reiterate a couple of things that I said over there tonight. I get comments about Montgomery County everywhere I go. And probably the one I'm most proud of is that your county commission gets it. Each of you that are leaving us next month, you've shown a selfless heart. Some of you have been here, as Commissioner Wyatt said, for only 2 years. Some of you have been here 4 years, and some of you have been here longer. And I just want to personally thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for your service to our community. I think it takes a very, very special person to put their name on the ballot and run for a public office and serve. It's not good pay. You get a lot of phone calls. You do a lot of work, and I know that you run in a district, but each and every one of you, I can say, has served all of Montgomery County, so I want to thank each of you. With that being said, Mr. Ed Baggett. Ed, if you'd come forward. Whereas Ed Baggett was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 3 in 2002 and served through August 2018 for a total of 16 years in Montgomery County governmental services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Baggett served his district in Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Airport Authority Liaison Committee, Agricultural Extension Committee, Parks Committee, SMR Municipal Solid Waste Region Board, Bi-County Solid Waste Management Board, Personnel Advisory Committee Board, Residential Development Commission. I guess you served on all of them, hadn't you? Just about. I'll keep reading them though. Residential Development Commission, Loss Control Committee, Nominating Committee, 2012 Growth Plan Coordinating Committee, Fire Protection Committee, Committee on Committees, Rules Committee, Reappointment, Redistricting Ad Hoc Committee, Building and Codes Committee, Budget Committee, Nursing Home Committee, 2004 Consolidated Government Study Committee, RPC Land Use Steering Committee, and served as a chairperson pro tem for the legislative body. And whereas Commissioner Baggett's departure from the county's legislative body will be a huge loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, and whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community, and whereas we wish Commissioner Baggett well in all his future endeavors, he will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Ed Baggett for 16 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of County Commissioners. Ed, thank you. You want to say anything? Okay. I think she wants to get a picture. Commissioner Joe Wyatt. As Commissioner Wyatt's making his way up here, we had a little fun with Commissioner Wyatt. The first time he spoke at the county commission meeting, if y'all don't know him, he's an attorney, and by trade, most of the time he's deliberating, he's standing up, walking around, so he stood up and walked around. He realized that the mic wasn't portable, and I think he's, I think you've learned your lesson, but Joe, yes. I'd like to read this proclamation to you. Whereas Joe Wyatt was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing Districts 4A and 4B in 2016 and served through August 31st, 2018 for a total of 2 years in Montgomery County governmental services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Wyatt served his districts in Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Ag Extension Committee, Purchasing Committee, Investment Committee, Jail and Juvenile Committee, Economic and Community Development Board, and the Montgomery County Fair Committee. And whereas Commissioner Wyatt's departure from the county's legislative body will be a loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community. Whereas Commissioner Wyatt will be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners, we wish him well on all future endeavors. Now therefore I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Joe Wyatt for 2 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of Commissioners. Joe, thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like to say anything? You sure? No, okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Commissioner Robert Gibbs. Commissioner Gibbs. Whereas Robert Gibbs was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 5A and 5B in 2002 and served through August 31, 2018 for a total of 16 years in Montgomery County governmental services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Gibbs served his district in Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Nominating Committee, School Liaison Committee, Delinquent Tax Sales and Release Committee, Jail and Juvenile Committee, Board of Zoning Appeals, Beer Board, Audit Committee, Investment Committee, Fire Protection Committee, Joint Land and Acquisition Committee, Ethics Committee, Legislative Liaison Committee, Loss Control Committee, and Purchasing Committee. And whereas Commissioner Gibbs' departure from the legislative body will be a loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, whereas it's appropriate and suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community. Whereas we wish Commissioner Gibbs good health and happiness in years to come, he will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Robert Gibbs for 16 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Gibbs, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you like to say anything? Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Ron Sokol. You know, I have to tell a story about Commissioner Sokol, too. I try to go around before every meeting and shake every commissioner's hands, and sometimes I get to all of them, sometimes I don't. But every time I go and shake Mr. Sokol's hand or Commissioner Sokol's hand, I ask him, how you doing? And he always says, just peachy, just peachy. So whereas Ron Sokol was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 8 in 2002 and served through August 2018 for a total of 16 years in Montgomery County government services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Sokol served his district in Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Beer Board, Building and Codes Committee, Jail and Juvenile Committee, Loss Control Committee, Public Records Commission, Airport Authority Liaison Committee, School Liaison Committee, Legislative Liaison Committee, Nominating Committee, Building Advisory Committee, Audit Committee, Delinquent Tax Sales and Release Committee, Information Systems Now IT Committee, Residential Development Commission, and served as chairperson pro tem for the legislative body. Whereas Commissioner Sokol's departure from the county's legislative body will be a huge loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, and whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made to this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community, and whereas we wish Commissioner Sokol good health and happiness in years to come, he will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Ron Sokol for 16 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of County Commissioners. Commissioner Sokol, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like to say anything?
No.
Commissioner John Genus. Whereas John Genus was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 9 in 2007 and served through August 2018 for a total of 11 years in Montgomery County governmental services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Genus served his district and Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the School Liaison Committee, Building and Codes Committee, Parks Committee, Rules Committee, Veteran Services Organization, Nominating Committee, Legislative Liaison Committee, Emergency Medical Services Committee, Airport Authority Liaison Committee, Purchasing Committee, Delinquent Tax Sales and Release Committee, Loss Control Committee, and the Veterans Nursing Home Ad Hoc Committee. Whereas Commissioner Genius' departure from the county's legislative body will be a loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, and whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community. Whereas we wish Commissioner Genius good health and happiness in the years to come, he will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August, 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner John Genius for 11 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Genius, thank you. Would you like to say a few words? Commissioner Martha Brockman. Good evening. Whereas Martha Brockman was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 10 in 2006 and served through August 2018 for a total of 12 years in Montgomery County governmental services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Brockman served her district, Montgomery County, faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners, having served on the Community Action Agency, Delinquent Tax Sales and Release Committee, Emergency Medical Services Committee, Jail and Juvenile Committee, Purchasing Committee, Audit Committee, Building Advisory Committee, VSO, Building and Codes Committee, Beer Board, GNRC Aging and Disability Board, and the SMR Municipal Solid Waste Board. Whereas Commissioner Brockman's departure from the county's legislative body will be a huge loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of herself in service to her community. And whereas we wish Martha much happiness in the future, she will definitely be missed by friends and fellow commissioners on the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August, 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Martha Brockman for 12 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of County Commissioners. Ms. Brockman, thank you. Would you like to say anything? Commissioner Robert Nichols. Sergeant Major. Whereas Robert Nichols was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 12 in 2009 and served through August 2018 for a total of 9 years. Whereas Commissioner Nichols served his district and Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Fire Protection Committee, Nominating Committee, Regional Planning Commission, Regional Historic Zoning Committee, Veteran Services Organization, Personnel Advisory Committee, Legislative Liaison Committee, Budget Committee, Purchasing Committee, Regional Airport Authority, Veterans Nursing Home Ad Hoc Committee, Ethics Committee, Downtown District Partnership, the Clarksville-Montgomery County Growth Coordinating and Urban Growth Boundary Committee, Civil War 105th Sesquicentennial 150th, thank you, Committee, and Two Rivers Planning Committee, and the Civic Plaza Steering Committee. He also served on the Interview and Selection Committee for the Director of the VSO and served as Chairman Pro Tem for the legislative body. Whereas Commissioner Nichols traveled to Washington, D.C. many times for the citizens for Fort Campbell, but his biggest accomplishment was convincing the Tennessee Veterans Affairs that managed the Tennessee Veterans Nursing Home to locate and construct a veterans nursing home in its current location in Montgomery County. Whereas Commissioner Nichols' departure from the county's legislative body will be a huge loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, and it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August, 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Robert Nichols for 9 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of Commissioners. We wish him good health and happiness in the years to come. He will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Commissioner Nichols, thank you. Thank you. Would you like to say anything? Commissioner Audrey Tully. Thank you. Whereas Audrey Tully was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 13 in 2014 and served through August 2018 for a total of 4 years in Montgomery County governmental services as a county commissioner. And whereas Commissioner Tully served her district and Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Audit Committee, Beer Board, Nominating Committee, Parks Committee, Purchasing Committee, IT Committee, and the Library Board. Whereas Commissioner Tully's departure from the county's legislative body will be a huge loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of herself in service to her community. Whereas we wish Commissioner Tully good health and happiness in the years to come, she will definitely be missed by her friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August, 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Audrey Tully for 4 years of loyal and dedicated service to the Montgomery County government and the Board of County Commissioners. Ms. Tully, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything? Please do.
Just want to take this opportunity to thank my fellow commissioners. We have worked well together, and I will miss you. And I see my competitor who has won is here, and I congratulate him, Walker. And I know that he has some things to do that I didn't do, and I commend you on winning this election. Just want y'all to know I'm leaving this to do another endeavor. I'm getting married next year, got engaged, and I look forward to being with my mate. Probably just a year, then I'll be running again for something. But I'm just appreciative of the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Tommy Vallejos. Whereas Tommy Vallejos was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 14 in 2010 and served through August 2018 for a total of 8 years in Montgomery County governmental services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Vallejos served his district and Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Airport Authority Liaison Committee, Bi-County Solid Waste Management Board, Budget Committee, Economic Development Council, Jail and Juvenile Committee, Loss Control Committee, Nominating Committee, Legislative Liaison Committee, School Liaison Committee, Delinquent Tax Sale and Release Committee, Building Advisory Committee, Rules Committee, Personnel Advisory Committee, Reapportionment Redistricting Ad Hoc Committee, Rocketown Exploratory Committee, Mount Olive Cemetery Cleanup Committee, and served as Chairman Pro Tem for the legislative body. Whereas Commissioner Vallejos' departure from the county's legislative body will be a loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community. Whereas we wish Commissioner Vallejos the best of luck in all his future endeavors, he will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on this 6th day of August, 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Tommy Vallejos for 8 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Vallejos, thank you. Commissioner Wallace Red. Commissioner Red.
Sorry, I missed the.
That's okay.
I was thinking.
That's okay. Whereas Wallace Red was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 16 in 2014 and served through August 2018 for a total of 4 years in Montgomery County government services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Red served his district in Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Beer Board, Emergency Medical Services Committee, Residential Development Commission, School Liaison Committee, Legislative Liaison Committee, and Nominating Committee. Whereas Commissioner Red's departure from the county's legislative body will be a loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community. Whereas we wish Commissioner Red the best of luck in all his future endeavors, he will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August, 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Wallace Red for 4 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Red, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like to say anything?
No.
Commissioner Jason Hodges. Commissioner. Whereas Jason Hodges was elected to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners representing District 17 in 2014 and served through August 2018 for a total of 4 years in Montgomery County government services as a county commissioner. Whereas Commissioner Hodges served his district in Montgomery County faithfully and diligently and contributed invaluably to the total deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners, having served on the Airport Authority Liaison Committee, Delinquent Tax Sales and Release Committee, Personnel Advisory Committee, Rules Committee, Legislative Liaison Committee, Information Technology Committee, Civic Plaza Steering Committee, and the Two Rivers Board. Whereas Commissioner Hodges' departure from the county's legislative body will be a loss to the citizens of Montgomery County, and whereas it is appropriate that suitable recognition be made of this citizen who gave so much of himself in service to his community. Whereas we wish Commissioner Hodges the best of luck in all his future endeavors, he will definitely be missed by his friends and fellow commissioners. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, on the 6th day of August, 2018, and on behalf of the citizens of Montgomery County, do hereby express appreciation to Commissioner Jason Hodges for 4 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government and the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Hodges, thank you. You want to say anything? right, Commissioners, we have two zoning resolutions tonight. Our first resolution is CZ 13, 2018, application of Don Teasley and Lisa McCain from R1 to R4. This was deferred from June. Mr. I don't think you have a new presentation to present. Commissioners, if y'all have a question of Mr. Tyndall, I'll be more than happy to let you ask a question. I am going to allow us to have another public hearing as well. And so I know there's some people that are leaving, and if y'all have, anybody have a question of Mr. Tyndall?
Mayor, all I can report on this is that the applicant continues to work with the community there. We've seen a couple of emails and renderings going back and forth, and I think they're headed in the right direction. Thank you, sir.
All right, at this time, we'll go into public hearing to hear comments relating to CZ 13, 2018. I would remind anyone that likes to speak of our rules, please let us know your name, your address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. You'll hear a tone go off, and we'd ask you to wrap your comments up. Does anybody have anyone to speak on behalf of CZ 13, 2018?
Good evening. I'd like to start off. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Daniel Welch. I'll be acting as the agent on this piece of property. We first got off to not such a good start, but I've met with the Harper Road community people probably about 3 or 4 different times, and listened to their opinions, listened to what their suggestions. So I went back 3 or 4 times. We put it back on paper to see if it's going to work for me. And tried to find a compromise with the people so that hopefully that we could come to some kind of agreement. I've sent out an email, a mass email to the majority of the people that are directly affected by this piece of property, and asked. What I did is I sent that out, and I copied a rendering, a front rendering of a home that's similar to what this project would be like. And it would be very similar to Wilson Green, kind of the front entrance of Wilson Green. That's kind of my concept. So I sent that email out, and I asked the people to give me their response, to see what they said. And I believe they liked it. What I did is I got those responses back, and I forwarded those to Mr. David Harper. And I'd really like to ask for another 30 to 60 day deferral so that we could come up with some restricted covenants. So if I could have that time to possibly do that, then I could get back with the people on Harper Road and then try to come to somewhat of agreement. And that's all I have to say. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at this time.
Any questions of Mr. Welch? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience to speak on behalf of CZ 13, 2018? Anyone in the audience to speak in opposition to CZ 13, 2018?
Name and address?
Ma'am?
Name and address. I am Shannon Jones. I live at 219 Harper Road. I actually back up, or one of the residents that are directly affected to this. To back up Mr. Welch, we are not necessarily against this proposed project whatsoever. We are very much for having another continuance, even though I know this is very highly unlikely. Not unlikely, not in the normal things. Mr. Welch has worked with the residents. We have gone back and forth. He wanted project ABC, we wanted project XYZ. We are in the process of meeting in the middle. So we would like a continuance to be able to get all the details that we want. The residents are very much concerned to make sure that once this property is turned R4, that we are assured certain restrictions will be put on the property to make sure that when Mr. Welch develops it, or if somebody else ends up developing it, that we know exactly what is going to be able to go on that property. So we are in favor of a continuance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions of Ms. Jones? I don't think there is any. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else to speak in opposition to CZ 13, 2018? All right, we will now close the public hearing on CZ 13, 2018. Mr. Tyndall, CZ 16, 2018, application of Mary Koch from AG to R2D.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. It was our application, CZ 16, 2018. The acreage is 17.53 acres off Sango Road, approximately 825 feet east of Sango Drive. Currently zoned ag, requested to go to R2D, which allows for duplex development. Here's the aerial of the property out there. It's a gently sloped agricultural field. It is within the UGB of the growth plan and is in the Sango planning area. The applicant's wishes is to become a duplex development. Historical estimates for this property size would be 55 units. Applicant's estimate is 58 units. We received several comments from city and county departments. One of note is the city engineer utility district. City council would have to approve a utility main extension. No sewer is currently available in the area, but is available nearby. Other comments received had no concerns or no comments. This is the piece of property off Sango Road out there, looking to the south. The property here is to the right. This is the property to the east of it. The property is down past the telephone pole on the left in this photo. And this is looking back from the corner of Sango Drive. There's a church cemetery there. The small clearing between the trees is the small farm area behind there, the property in question. Potential impact of proposed development is increased traffic, noise, and light to the area. Planning Commission staff recommended approval and the Regional Planning Commission recommended approval on the following recommendations. The proposed zoning is consistent with the adopted land use plan. The R2D zoning permits for the development of mixed-use densities, single-family residences, and duplexes on individual lots. It's encouraged to maintain a desirable mix of uses and housing types in the area. There is adequate infrastructure that serves the site or could be served the site in the case of sewer, and there are no adverse environmental impacts at this time. I'd also like to share a rendering was left on each one of your desks that was not done by myself or the Regional Planning Commission. I believe the applicant got here early and left it. They did bring this rendering to our meeting. In no way do we actually endorse this or anything. This is actually just a concept of what could happen out there. This would be legal under the proposed zoning for a duplex development. They're proposing potentially gating it off and being a private development out there, but a lot of the design factors would be worked out during the site plan or subdivision phase in the future. That's all I have at this time, Mayor.
Any questions of Mr. Tyndall on CZ 16, 2018? Commissioner Nichols.
Yes, thank you. Could you show everyone the proximal location of the city limits, please?
The city limits, do we have that map here? I'm not sure about that, but the city limits ends at Wilson Green, which is approximately a mile to the west on this photo. I'm not sure the city limits would appear in this. This is Savannah Chase. You're pretty much all out in the county in this area.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Tyndall? Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. We'll now go into public hearing for CZ 16, 2018. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this application?
Council, my name is Todd Morris. I reside at 501 Stonegate Drive. I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the development, the properties, the proposed buildings, or anything going up there.
Mr. Harper, do you have a question of Mr. Morris?
I do. Thanks, Mayor. Mr. Morris, could you briefly describe what type of community you'd like to do out there?
Well, we want to do an upscale community, something that's not typically done a lot in Clarksville. Basically, if you've seen the proposed drive going in, it's one road, one cul-de-sac. There's a roundabout halfway down. There's landscape mediums all the way down the road. So one side of the road just separates them. Walking paths all the way around, not necessarily sidewalks. The lots are deep enough that the proposed buildings won't just be lined up one right after another. They'll have setback staggers, so the walking paths will meander through. They'll actually be able to be landscaping trees between the path and what would be the curb. As far as the duplexes, obviously 2 units per. There's up to 4 different plans. We're going towards main level masters on everything. Some 2 bedrooms, some 3 bedrooms, some 3 bedrooms with a bonus room, but mainly upscale, trying to do something that's not done here. Gated entrance, which until it's all done will be hard to, with all the contractors and everything coming in and out will be tough, but once it's done, gated so everybody will be able to come in and go, gate shut, come and go in for safety purposes, but just mainly upscale, something that's not around here much.
Thanks for coming down. I really appreciate someone thinking outside the box and doing something I think that's we need in Sango, and I certainly think would be appreciated, and I think it'd be a welcome addition.
Well, thank you. We know the Sango area has been undeveloped for a long time, and things are moving that way, and it's just, I feel like it's a good area to do something upscale like this in.
Any other questions of Mr. Morris? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience to speak on behalf of CZ 16 2018? Anyone in the audience to speak in opposition to CZ 16 2018? Anyone to speak in opposition? We will now close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, ma'am. Excuse me.
I'm Connie Matthews, and I live at 3461 Sango Road. I'm directly across from this property. I've lived there my entire life. It's not necessarily that I'm opposed to this particularly. I think my problem is that there's so much growth in Sango. Within the past 2 years, within 1.5 miles of my house, there's been 4 new subdivisions. And it just seems like that everything constantly gets approved, and I don't know about our traffic. I mean, as it is now, it's increased. It's hard to get across the road, to get your mail, to mow the grass, it's hard. Our schools are overcrowding. And I just would like everybody to consider our future in that area. I'm pleased that this is going to be a nice gated community. That helps my property value. I appreciate that. But like I said, I feel like that maybe if we could just maybe take a break and let Sango grow, and let's see how our schools are affected and how our traffic's affected before we just constantly approve every development. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions of Ms. Matthews? All right. Anyone else to speak in opposition to CZ 16 2018? We will now close the public hearing. Mr. Tyndall, thank you.
Mayor, I have one more announcement, if I could just take a moment. This is this Thursday, the 9th, and next Thursday on the 16th at 6 p.m. we'll have a public hearing for the growth plan update, which is before the Regional Growth Plan Commission right now.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a little quick recess to allow some folks to exit the chambers. Commissioners is Resolution 1881, a resolution to amend the budget to accept joint grant funds from the Bureau of Justice Assistance of the United States Department of Justice. This is a grant that we receive every year. There's no matching funds required. Anyone have any questions regarding 1881? Resolution 1882, resolution authorizing the acceptance of grant funds from the Tennessee Department of Child Services. Again, this is a grant we receive every year. There's no matching dollars required for this grant. Any questions on 1882? Resolution 1883, resolution to enter into agreement with the United States government, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to provide certain identifiable animal care services on post at Fort Campbell for compensation. I know there may be some questions. Anybody, Mr. Caskey's here. Anyone have any questions regarding 1883? Commissioner Butts?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming. I've been contacted by several of my constituents that are wanting me to vote against this. And I do also sit on the Animal Control Committee. The main question I have tonight is, are we going to stretch ourselves too thin by taking on Fort Campbell when we've got a lot to do here? Which by the way, I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, I appreciate that.
But a lot of the people in my district are asking, they think we're going to be stretching ourselves too thin when we've got issues here that we're working on. I know we just passed some things. They want to get them implemented. So could you kind of tell me what you think about that?
Oh, I completely understand those concerns. I do have the utmost faith in my staff and the department to be able to take on any challenge that we might face. In my 25 years in public safety and animal control, I have to say this is probably the hardest working and most dedicated staff I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Part of the agreement with Fort Campbell is to provide us with one full-time and one part-time officer to compensate for the extra workload. I think some parts of it that are maybe misunderstood is that we're going to be sitting at Fort Campbell or sitting on Fort Campbell. All they're paying us for is the response to and from the call. Any animals that we impound, those costs are also associated with the 3-day boarding as far as the feeding. I think there was some concern about not having enough food. Those costs are all worked into the 3-day boarding costs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Butts. Commissioner Vallejos?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I asked these concerns way before these emails started coming out, and there was a lot of concerns that I had addressed. Is, are we overstepping our bounds into federal property? Are we biting more than we can take on? Are we taking a bigger challenge? You know, of course, got that email today, and so from Amy here, and so. And I think that email was probably talking about the whole operation team that was on there. Of course, we're not going to be taking the same piece that they have, but I still have a lot of concerns out there. I don't know if it'd be wise. I don't know, Mayor, if we would lose the contract if we tabled this until we looked at it maybe another month or so, because I mean, it's social media is all over it. They quoted you as saying that you were in opposition on social media, and I don't know where that came from. I think all of us got that email, and so I think you as the director, maybe we need to take a step back, look at it, make an assessment, and I think I think the intent is right, because I mean, half of the animals that are already being dropped around here, a lot of them are attributed to soldiers that are deploying or PCSing or ETSing, whatever the case may be. So I don't know if it'd be wise, Mayor, for us to take a step back, and I think it's a good idea. I think because once again, who's the big piece of this that's leaving the animals, the strays, and maybe just dropping them off at your door. And so I don't know, what's your thought on that if we took a step back and maybe made an assessment over a month and table this until then, and then come back after some, some talk. Let the animal board, because my understanding is Commissioner Butts wasn't there, or neither was Johnson when this was introduced. So maybe we could have them be a part of the conversation.
I will cater to whatever the commissioners choose to do. I know this was brought to Montgomery County prior to my arrival. They brought it back again after my arrival, and we were asked by Fort Campbell to provide what the cost would be to provide that service on their base. So bringing it before the commission, and if however you decide, I will. Well,
and this is no swipe at you, because I think if we don't, we get condemned. If we don't do nothing, we get condemned if we overstep. So, but I think this is the time when you take a step back, let the two commissioners that weren't there when this decision was made, and then make an assessment. Maybe on-site visits. Let some of the board members go out there and see what's going on. Maybe, because it's needed. There's not even a question it's needed, because it's a continuous problem. If we take it on, or do we got enough personnel? If we're going to take it on, maybe we need to add more personnel. So that's my concern. So I think maybe this may be premature, maybe, but it's the step in the right direction. So I plan to ask for a table to table this next week.
I did have one question, Mayor. Is there any specific information that you would be looking for in that? I'm just curious if there's anything I haven't already provided that you'd be specifically looking for that we could provide.
Huh? Well, what delay it?
I was just wondering if there was any other specific information that, if it was tabled, that you would like us to.
Well, and I misspoke tabling. I mean, just maybe delaying it for a month. Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I've taken a little different approach. I've received 18 emails, many of which were quite detailed and informative. But partner, Fort Knox has done this, and it's not doing well. Fort Benning has done this, and it's not doing well, because the city of Fort Campbell has soldiers on it. The director and assistant director of that animal control piece is in the audience. One of the special things that Fort Campbell team does is a dog collar is identified, registered on post with the chip. A soldier left the animal with a friend and got loose, and they have it. The soldier doesn't return from deployment for over 3 months, and they're taking care of the animal. Our system would kill the animal. Our system today would kill the animal because we don't have something in place or prepared for soldiers deployed. It's city of Fort Campbell that has soldiers on it. So I strongly feel that we need to, not 1 month or 2, we need to take it a serious delay so that you can prepare for something that's different, that we're not accustomed to, and make sure that we enter into this with all eyes open and no guessing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Sokol.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir, for being here. I appreciate the job that you're doing. The first question of 2 is, how did we get into this? What happened?
We were approached by Fort Campbell.
Who?
I'd probably be best for me to answer that, Mr. Caskey. We were approached by Fort Campbell probably 2 years ago to look at different aspects of non-military functions that occur on Fort Campbell. I think the Army as a whole is looking to try to privatize certain things, or maybe get communities to take over certain things. It started really with something simple as road salt. The Fort Campbell wanted to purchase road salt from Montgomery County, and we actually passed a resolution authorizing that, and then we had to go to the legislature to get some legislation change to allow them to do that. There's been conversations about taking over the library, and animal control came up, and our previous director was working on it. When she left, we didn't like throw it in Mr. Caskey's lap right when he got here. We gave him a little time to get his feet on the ground and to learn a little bit about his department. And I don't know how many meetings you've had with Fort Campbell or conversations you've had with Fort Campbell since then, but I know they've been numerous. So he didn't go out and solicit it. I would say it was probably a joint effort between my administration and Fort Campbell of just trying to partner together any way that we possibly could.
Thank you, Mayor, for that information. One of the things that concerns me is, well, first, a little bit of history. Commissioner Jennings and I served out there in a law enforcement capacity at the Provost Marshal's office for years. I understand the problems out there, and I also understand the mechanisms that we employed to get this thing under control, and I don't think it ever has been. There's too many wild animals living out in the back area to be able to effectively get rid of any of this. But it concerns me when it says that Montgomery County shall transport all live captured animals to the Montgomery County Animal Control Facility or the Stray Animal Impound Facility. Now, how many animals do you take in on a daily basis? Just a ballpark figure.
Ballpark figure, depending on dogs and cats, 10 to 15 between dogs and cats.
I can't.
Between 10 to 15 between dogs and cats total.
Okay, what is the capacity of your facility? How many cages?
I'm sorry.
How many cages do you have? What's your
47
capacity?
for dogs and 87 for cats.
So you're taking in how many a day?
10 to 15.
10 of, so half of that population comes in on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's correct, but we also have anywhere from 15 to 20 going out a week to different rescues. That's not including adoptions.
Okay, so we're going to be adding to that.
Correct.
And how many animals is that?
From the figures I've been given by Fort Campbell is about 300 a year.
Which breaks down to how many a day? 10?
No, probably 2 to 5 a day.
How many?
2 to 5 a day, depending on, I can't predict the future, so I don't know how many more we take in the future. It could be less, it could be more.
Well, I think that somebody pulled the hood over you because it's going to be more than 2 to 5 a day. I can tell you that right now.
All I can do is base it off of what I've been provided by Fort Campbell.
Well, I think Commissioner Vallejos is correct. I'd like to see this postponed until we get further information on how this is going to work. I get hinky when we end up getting in a contract with the federal government and they're the ones that are going to be, let's say, altering the decisions later on, which may end up sticking Montgomery County for a lot of the cost. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Sokol. Commissioner Genus?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I'll also have to say I'm concerned with this. I know that you've come in and on board. All the emails I have received, all the work we've seen you do has been really great. And we're starting to get a hold of an issue that is a no-win situation. All the years here and, of course, law enforcement, you cannot win with animal control. Adoption to putting them to sleep. My concern is are you going to take over the facility on Fort Campbell, or does that be relinquished to them?
They are providing us the use of the facility.
So electricity, usage, all that stuff, they're not going to back charge you for?
No.
Okay.
No,
so
all we have is use of the building. They are paying all the utilities.
Okay, because I'm concerned when it says identifiable services, when you go from 4.5 to 1.5, and this current contract they have there now is meeting the needs, is doing a lot of good things. I just see this as a time bomb wrapped in a nice Christmas package. That is a no-win. I also checked with Fort Knox. Of course, management on the military side thought, hey, this is a great deal. I washed my hands of it. Citizens and folks that are, animal lovers in that world, it's the worst thing that ever happened. Because of that dichotomy that exists, I submit that we may be taking on too much, and I'm going to go with Commissioner Vallejos. The Animal Control Committee, the folks here, they really need to do some looking under the covers to see what kind of awesome responsibility you're taking over from really the city of Fort Campbell. A lot of citizens out there, and it ebbs and flows on their care for animals. I think some more research needs to be done, and I'll leave that with fellow commissioners to consider that as you look at this down the road. That's enough.
Thank you, Commissioner Genius. Commissioner Harper?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you coming before us and appreciate your work that you've been doing. We set in place, I equate it to building a house. We've laid a foundation with some of the plans we've made in the last month or two. I would prefer, before us starting to build on that, we let the foundation dry. I mean, we put the concrete down, it's still wet. Let's wait, let's let that foundation dry. Let's go forward with what we're trying to do. The objective of our animal control is to reduce euthanasia, right? How many that? Correct. I mean, that's the goal. And absolutely. I believe that you can do that. But I believe it will be very difficult for you to do that if we add this on top of it. So I'd be in favor of postponing indefinitely. Okay. But I appreciate everything you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Caskey, I appreciate what you do. You do a great job. You do. My question would be, where's the rest? This appears to be a minimal offering at best. It appears that it is just enough to allow you to tread water to maintain the status quo with what they have. Mm-hmm. And that shows absolutely nothing for the increase in population that we have or any of the changes that may happen with the new procedures we just put in last month, because you and I know that we're on opposite ends of that. You think it's going to fix it. I think it's going to be a problem over here. We'll see how that plays out. Right. But it just doesn't seem to be enough. And, you know, I've got 2 bottles of water here, and no matter how bad I want it to be 6, it's not going to happen. I appreciate the faith you have in your staff. I appreciate the enthusiasm that you have and that your staff has. But if you are struggling to maintain, you know, and that's kind of what was said last time, was that you can't really base your day when you've got 15 to 20 people outside your door dropping off animals. Well, if you're full and if you're euthanizing animals and you've got people flooding in the door all the time and you're stretching your staff and everybody's working at full speed just to manage, I just don't see how you can take on a completely other area and you're only adding 1 full-time and 1 part-time. That's just not enough. And I mean, if you look at the budget that the federal government has and the budget that the military has and the budget that the Army has and the budget that Fort Campbell has, and then you look at what we have left after we give a huge chunk of our money to the school system, I just don't see it being financially responsible to the people of Montgomery County to take this on with the minimum amount that they're offering. If we were going to take on something of this size, if we were going to take on this big bite here, there should be enough of an additional funds coming in to renovate your entire building down there. I mean, there should be some monumental changes before we take on a monumental job. I mean, I never said I was right about anything, but I kind of think I'm on the right page on this one. So, thank you.
Commissioner Butts, I'm going to let Commissioner Hodges speak. He hadn't spoke yet to this matter.
Yes, sir.
Then I'll come back to you.
Sure. So I agree with what Commissioner Johnson's saying. And just out of curiosity, what percentage of the animals are euthanized on Fort Campbell? Do you know?
I think the figures they sent me was almost 4%.
So 4% of animals they take in. What about us? What about Montgomery County?
Right now, our save rate is at 86%, which it's increased over the last 3 months from.
So we're euthanizing about 14%?
Correct.
So we're going to be euthanizing a lot more animals potentially too, because we're not going to keep that 4% rate.
I don't think that's a fair statement. You're taking in a whole lot more animals in Montgomery County than Fort Campbell's taking in. Those percentage comparisons are not the same.
But what makes us think that we're going to do a better job adopting the Fort Campbell animals out than we are adopting our Montgomery County animals out?
I didn't say that we were going to do that. I said I don't think your percentages are fair.
In what sense? 14%,
in the volume
4%.
of animals that are taken in versus the number of animals that are actually euthanized.
Sure, but what I'm saying is if Fort Campbell is only euthanizing 4% of their animals because they're adopting the rest out, is it not safe to assume that their numbers are going to be more in line with ours if we're bringing them in? We're not reducing the amount of animals we're bringing in from Montgomery County, are we?
We've reduced our euthanasia rate, what, about 25% in the last what?
Probably over the last 4 months, we've dropped from, it was around 73%, and now we're up to 86% save rate.
Which is great, but it's still not 4%.
And the number of animals Fort Campbell takes in is roughly 7.5% of what we take in. So it's a very small percentage of what.
No, and I completely get that, but we're not going to be taking any less. It's not like we're going to take any less animals from Montgomery County in.
Right.
So statistically, we still have to base it on the animals that we're adopting out and we're euthanizing, not on the amount of animals that Fort Campbell's adopting out and euthanizing. We're just adding this to our current service. So, yeah, I just think that, you know, animal control's been. I've had more emails about animal control than any other department or issue. I mean, I had more emails on animal control than we had on raising taxes. So people take it pretty serious, and you know, their euthanization rate's pretty low. And I just don't know how we can mimic that service with $150,000. Is that what we're getting, $150,000 from Fort Campbell to take on?
$154,000.
Yeah, to take on their animal control. That's a heck of a deal for Fort Campbell. But that's all I got. Thank you.
Commissioner Butts?
Yeah, this might be for you, Mayor. I had to step out and use the restroom, and you might have already answered this question, but if we were to table this or defer it, how long do we have before that deal with Fort Campbell is over? I mean, if we done this a year from now, do we not know, or?
I couldn't answer that question.
Yeah.
Is there no way of knowing it?
I would have to check with Fort Campbell. I don't know the answer to that question right now.
If you do, could you?
We'll try to get that answer and provide it to the commission.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions regarding 1883? Mr. Caskey, thank you. Resolution 1884 is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of state grant funds from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. This is similar to the other grants that I spoke of earlier. There's no matching funds. Any questions on 1884? Resolution 1885, resolution approving an economic impact plan on behalf of Clarksville Hotel and Conference Center plan area. I think we have some folks that want to address this one.
Yes, sir. If we could, do I need to do that? Can you turn it on? So I have some slides I'd like to talk to.
if phase 2 is not built from, let's just say, the convention site over to Tree Road, is there enough increment there, because you're not going to get that growth out there, is there enough increment there to finance what you need financed? 4.5.
So you have to understand that. But there's two ways this loan will be paid back. One is with incremental increase in property tax as a result, three ways, as a result of this site being developed. Number two is I just did some basic numbers. If they ended up getting $1 million for that land, which seems to be quite low, once it's the back entrance into a convention center, your loan's down to $3.5 million at that point. It would take just the increment from only the convention center and hotel is anticipated to pay that off in less than 20 years.
So it would that would service the debt?
Just that.
Okay. Quicker.
It'd be up much quicker, and as the other property in the plan area appreciates or develops, the anticipation is that this will probably be paid off quite quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Said by putting in just phase 1, this loop right here, you're opening up all of this property that's color-coded around here other than number 13.
Right.
And that's going to be rezoned, and that's going to create new investments along there. I project very rapidly.
Okay. Commissioner Wyatt?
Yes, I have a question. The lower arm of this horseshoe, is that where Red Lobster is? This off. I think this needs.
This land is going to be available for sale, and with this road for sure coming, this land's not going to sit there. I think that's a fair assessment.
And I mean,
and reducing our investment costs, I don't think that opportunity will hang around a long time myself either.
so then as an attorney, I know that the date would know that.
Yeah.
Yes, we have some internal drafts. We have a draft MOU with the CVB, the Batson East Land Company, and the city on their timing of the road. We have an internal draft of a project agreement with the hotel developer. That's the part where there's going to be more work. And so until we have that done and those dates tied down and the mayor and council to the county have signed off on it, we're not going to be spending your money. Correct?
And so, you know, just and for the drone
Commissioner Hodges, Jason.
So those are both city roads, right?
Yes, sir.
So the only thing you need from us is the financing.
Aware of, is there, Mayor?
No, none
Yes.
that I'm aware of.
So
Not in what's there currently, and there's been no conversation for anything that's proposed.
So that any kind of congestion that falls on city, I mean, I don't know what we can.
Commissioner Albert?
Along those lines too, with the infrastructure basically
To be a win-win now for the landowner to put it in the deal, encourage the road to be finished, and it's opening up all the rest of their land, and that's going to be for development, and that's going to help on the increment, which is going to help pay the debt off quicker. So I never get in front of you without at least asking you. I would encourage you to please support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mr. Trent.
Thank you.
We actually received, I think I received it too. I hadn't looked